Okay, a very big welcome to Pennine Ham for the first meeting of the club in 2026. I'd like to hope everyone had a good Christmas and a good New Year, and good to see everyone back, and good as well to see lots of new faces in the meeting tonight who've come along undoubtedly to hear from Paul M7CUW about his fun he's been having with Parks on the Air for a little while now. And by way of introduction about Pennine Ham, and also to visitors to the club here tonight, you're more than welcome to attend any of our meetings that you wish to. You don't have to ask permission. You don't have to join the club ever if you don't want to. It's entirely a matter for you, but you're welcome at all our meetings. Our website at pennineham.org.uk has got the club calendar on it. Our next meeting is in 2 weeks' time. We've got a good friend of the club, Anthony Luska, K8ZT, who's going to talk about slightly interesting subjects, I think, QSLing in the digital world. Something that is, I think, quite interesting. And as ever, Anthony gives a good talk, and I'm sure he's got some good ideas for people. So we're looking forward to Anthony in a week's time. Paul, I think our club is one of those that's got quite a few members who are people who like getting out doing portable activations. And a number of us have done SOTA activations and POTA activations, but also I've also just been out and done portable operations. It's something, as you were saying just in the chat before we started, Paul, we can all do whatever the conditions are. If we've got a radio, we can stick up a pole or throw up a bit of wire. We can get on the radio and have some fun outdoors and combine the two things which I love, as I think our speaker tonight does, and that is being outside and operating radio. Although those two things aren't brilliant this time of year, as Ken found out last week when he went down to the Humber just a few days ago in whatever it was, -5 degrees. Found it slightly cold for operating radio down by the Humber estuary near the Humber Bridge. But more of that later. So, Paul, very big welcome to you. And
Thank you.
Parks on the Air has gone, taken off in a much, much bigger way in the UK than it did several years ago. We were a bit behind the US in particular, and North America, with those that had discovered it and were playing with it. And in fact, when we had a speaker some 18 months or so ago from the States, he was quite surprised that there weren't as many parks that were logged at that stage as possible, Parks on the Air entities. And just in that 12 to 18 months, you, Paul, and others have done a fantastic job in adding more parks.
Exactly.
So let me just going to put you on spotlight so everyone can see you clearly, and I'll let you take it away, Paul. The way we normally run the meeting is give you or any of our speakers just an opportunity to chat about what they do, what they enjoy, what you think people want to hear from, and then we'll break and we'll have questions and discussion. So over to you, Paul.
That's how I was going to do it. I've got different sections here, so I'll probably do a couple of sections and then we'll have a pause for any questions, etc. So good evening, everyone. Hope you had a good Christmas and a Happy New Year to everybody. I'm Paul, Mike 7 Charlie Uniform Whiskey M7CUW, and I'm here to talk about Parks on the Air. So I know some of you will have done Parks on the Air, or you'll have heard of it, or you're keen activators, and there'll be some that haven't, and maybe you'll want to know more. So a quick overview on Parks on the Air. Parks on the Air, it's an amateur radio programme where operators make contacts within designated parks, national forests, wildlife areas, other protected public lands, parks, SSSIs, green spaces, commons, etc. And the goal is to promote and encourage radio operations from natural or scenic locations while fostering outdoor activity and radio communication skills. But first and foremost, it's fun. We all like to have fun with the radio, and if you're enjoying it and it's fun, it's a win-win. And I've been doing Parks on the Air now for 2-3 years. And yeah, I really enjoyed it. And as Nick touched on there, 18 months ago, there were not many parks registered in the UK, and the interest was there, but a lot of people were saying, well, I've got, the nearest place for me to activate is 20-30 miles away, etc. So myself, April and Gary, M7APR and M1GRY, all clubbed together, and yeah, we've made it all accessible for everybody now. Plenty of parks, etc., for people to go out and activate. So obviously, first of all, to do Parks on the Air, you will need to sign up for a Parks on the Air account. A lot of you might have done that already. Very easy to do. And when I first signed up for a Parks on the Air account, I already saw that I'd hunted 20 or 30 parks without even knowing about it. So once your call sign goes into that system, any contacts or hunted contacts you've made with Parks on the Air in the past, whether you know about it or not, will appear. So I thought that was quite a nice touch. So I'll do a couple of sections, and then we'll do a pause. This is in no particular order, and just to give you a break and ask any questions as we go along. I hope that's okay. So POTA is designed to encourage amateur radio operations to set up and operate their own radios from public parks and other natural areas for public outreach and engagement. So basically what I'm trying to say is we still use radio when all else fails. Obviously in the olden days, radio was the only communication in the wars, etc. So it's just showing people that it can still be used as a form of communication. Helps raise awareness about amateur radio, promotes activity in the outdoors, and fosters community among radio enthusiasts. So yeah, it's a win-win. Activators are the ones operating radios from the parks, while chasers or hunters, as you like, are operators who try and make contacts with the activators. Now, I touched on this before. I don't know how many joined the meeting when I touched on this, but the advantage of being out in the parks or wherever is you can achieve a low noise level and operate your radio without any interference, etc. Well, that's the goal. Now, all your equipment does have to be in the park, inside the park border, and remote activating and using repeaters isn't permitted to activate, but those methods can be used to hunt. Participants, activators, radio operators who go to a park or public land, set up their station and make contacts, and any contact is eligible. So for instance, you go to a park and call in CQ and conditions aren't great. Any of the contacts that you make, you might find someone else calling CQ that are not particularly going along the lines of POTA or in a contest, etc. You can make a contact with that station, and that will be logged, and that will count as one of your 10 contacts needed to activate that particular part. So it's any contact is viable for Parks on the Air. So yeah, okay. So we'll have a quick break at that. I'd just like to invite anyone who might have any questions so far before we carry on.
Paul, before we throw it open, do you just want to tell us about what radio or radios you use for Parks on the Air, number one, and also what antennas have you tried out, and what is the one that you're using most of the time?
Of course, yeah, no problem at all. So with Parks on the Air, obviously it's different parks, different areas have different room, etc. But I found that my favourite antenna to use is the Chelegans MC750 vertical telescopic antenna. Comes in a nice little carry case and can be deployed in just a couple of minutes. And yeah, it's resonant on all bands, which is changed by just changing the telescopic width up or down, and the bands are actually etched onto the whip as well. So some of you probably have this antenna, and the etchings on the whip for all the bands get you in the right ballpark. So you can adjust your swar to make it tuned. My radio of choice that I normally take out. I've got two actually. I've got 6 or 7 different radios, but there's two radios that are my favourites, and one would be the M7CUW G90, which is a fantastic little Chinese radio. Lots and lots of features packed in for good buck for the money. And yeah, I've worked the world on it with the Cheligans, and you know, it's a fantastic little radio. Secondly, the FT891, the Yaesu running at 25 watts is a very, very good option. And I do use that radio quite a lot. There's a lot of nice features, and digital processing on there is fantastic for noise, etc. If I have the room, I like to get a piece of wire up. So you've got to use your discretion about when you're using wires, etc. And I like to use an M-fed half-wave antenna, and yeah, you know, get some decent contacts using that as well if conditions allow. Especially useful for 40 meters, I've found, rather than a vertical. But yeah, those, I would say that those configurations are the ones that I use the most there, Nick.
Okay, yeah, thank you, Paul. And I know we've got a lot of people in the room who use the G90, and also, like you said, wire is definitely better for 40 meters. Just asking you on terms of support for your wire when you put up an end-fed half wave, do you try and find a tree, or do you take a pole with you? And if you take a pole, what do you fix it to?
I do have a Certabeams pole, and it's the Tactical Mini. And the way I do it, I'm not very good at hoisting wires into trees. So the way that I do it is I have a parasol holder, which you can screw into the grass, doesn't make a mess. And I just have it in an inverted V. So I have a backpack, and I've got a little little wooden stake that I put in there. I tap that into the ground and attach my unan to it, and then we get on my M-fed halfway across. I've got an anchor point, and I get it up in an inverted V, and then guide it off at the other end. So that's how I do it. That's how I quickly deploy an M-fed half wave. Everyone's got different ways of doing it. I see people with arborist throw kits, etc., popping them into trees. But yeah, I've got one, but I'm yet to have a practice and master it. I'd just be afraid of getting it stuck or something. So that's how I do it. So yeah, the little parasol holders are very, very handy. You can get them on Amazon for between £5 and £10, and just pop the pole in there, get that anchored into the ground, and yeah, it doesn't leave any trace when you take it out again. And yeah, that's how I employ my end-fed half wave.
And which modes do you use, Paul?
Mostly SSB, but if conditions don't allow, I do have a little Windows tablet that I use, and I use FT8 and FT4 as well. So just SSB, FT8 and FT4, but I try to just use voice. It's less to carry, but if I know that conditions are not going to be great, then I do take along the tablet with me.
Mm-hmm. So you for outdoor activities, you prefer voice to?
I do.
Yeah.
It's more rewarding. I've nothing against FT8, FT4 data. I like to just have a conversation, really, even if it's brief in a pile up, etc. But if needs be and conditions are not great, then FT8, FT4 is a great fallback for me.
So I don't think everyone heard me say this when we were chatting before we opened the room and the meeting properly, but I just look at your stats here that you've made 588 activations, worked 209 from 209 parks, and made 38,730 QSOs. I mean, and you were saying, Paul, before we started, you try to make most of them on the way to work in the morning.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah. So a lot of my activations, I don't have a car. So a lot of my activations are in on foot in the wild. I like to get out on the trains as well and do parks that way. But yeah, a lot of people will hear me as the weather begins to improve and we get into spring and summer. A lot of people will hear me and wait for me activating on a morning, usually between the hours of about 5:30 to about 8:45, and that's where most of my QSOs are made. Other than that, when the weather does get better, I do try and get out on a night as well when time allows, and yeah, get out and activate as much as I can, or as much as the wife will let me. But yeah, most of my activations are done before work during the morning, and yeah, but I do like to travel around as well. I can go out on the trains and visit new towns, etc., and get out and activate the parks there as well, which are sometimes a bit of a lottery because sometimes you've never been to a park before. You see they've been activated before, so sometimes you just don't know what you're going to get until you get there. But yeah, I am a very, very active activator, and no doubt I'll have spoken to you, some of the people in this meeting at some point, and yeah, hopefully we can carry that on into 2026, and yeah, lots and lots of activations planned, a bit more travelling this year, and hopefully out activating more parks there, Nick.
And just a couple more questions. One is, what battery do you use to power your radios?
My battery of choice, I've got about 5 or 6 different batteries, but my battery of choice is the just the 12 amp LifePo battery. Normally, that'll get me through an activation at between 10 and 25 watts, and will probably work through activation. Now, if I'm going away, as I did, I went over to Sheffield in October, and I booked a couple of days off work. And the aim was to try and get 10 parks activated in one day on the first day, and another 5 or 6 on the day after. And I do have a bigger battery, a 30 amp battery, which I took with me in the rucksack, and just took the FT891 and took the MC750. Nice and easy to carry. Even a couple of clothes in the rucksack, etc. Roughing it out for the day. And yeah, if I'm going away for a couple of days, then I would take the 30 Ah battery there. So I don't need to recharge any batteries while I'm away, etc. But as a rule, just if I'm just going out activating, doing a couple of parks during the day, the 12 it's perfectly acceptable and will last a good couple of hours or so. 3 hours at the 25 watts max there.
Excellent. And my final question, technical question, really, Paul, is about what microphone do you use? Because I'm not the only one who has discovered. I mean, I live, as you know, where I live, but I live very close to both the Pennine Way and the Pennine Bridleway, and I've got a couple of nice spots I go up to activate from time to time when the weather's a bit better than it is now. But we do get a lot of wind up here.
We do.
And people are always saying, I didn't quite get that because there was wind across your microphone. So how do you overcome that problem?
Very tricky at times. I do. If it's really, really windy, I only use the standard mic with the radios. For anyone that's seen me or seen my photos that I put on the Facebook page, etc., do have a big coat with a big hood on. And I do try and shield away from the wind a little bit, but I do tell people that if the modulation's not perfect, it's a little bit windy up here, etc. But I just try and shield away from whichever way the wind's blowing. But yeah, it is quite difficult. I don't have any headsets or anything. Looking into that maybe this year. I'm not sure. I just find it easier just to use the hand mic, and I also have some headphones as well, which I sometimes take with me. Some Sony headphones, which just plug in as well. Should there be any external noise, do help quite a lot. But as a rule, yeah, just use a standard microphone that comes with the radio there.
Yeah, I mean that's interesting. And you also kind of went on to my next observation. Really was, personally, this is me, Paul, but you obviously, everyone does what they want to do. But I find using a headset is usually best, partly because you have got noises around you, mainly wind noises, that do interfere with your hearing properly. Um, and also I'm very very self-conscious when I'm out. I don't want to dominate an area by this radio blasting noise
Ah,
where
fair enough.
where people are out enjoying a park, enjoying a beautiful day, and it's about getting that balance right, isn't it?
Yeah, of course it is. Yeah, yeah, and I will touch on that. You know, try and set up out of the way, usually in a park or an area, which it's sometimes it's not possible. You can get new dog walkers, etc. But yeah, completely see. Yeah, I completely agree with what you're saying there. Someone's enjoying a nice quiet day in the park. They don't want to be hearing you calling CQ and well, maybe not that, but listening to the radio blaring out. But if I don't have my headphones with me, I just tend to find a quiet area in the park, especially if it's a park that I know. But sometimes when you first go into activator park, you don't know what you're going to be dealing with, whether there's going to be any benches for you to set up, etc. And or whether you're going to be slumming it and sitting on the floor. I do have a portable chair and table, which I do sometimes take in my rucksack if I'm not sure about the park that I've been to before there. So yeah, no, completely agree, and I'm going to look into that this year as well.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, I did an activation. I think I might have been the first person to activate it at Hollingworth Lake,
Yeah,
which is a lovely location. But it gets so popular, it's like the
it does.
M62.
Yeah,
It's like being on the motor. You can see the motorway from the lake, and it's like being on that motorway with the pedestrians,
yeah,
people walking past you, and it's you end up. I mean, the good thing about that is, and you must find that you end up, don't you, having conversations with people about what you're
do.
doing.
Yeah,
You talk to them about amateur radio, and the one thing that always astonishes me is that imagine you're just talking to your mate down the road,
yeah,
and, they,
they do.
and then they find you're talking to all these different countries.
Yes, yeah, yeah. Get it all the time. Largely the feedback's positive. You get people coming up asking what you're doing. Is it a CB? Is it what radio stations are you broadcasting? And when I tell them it's amateur radio and that I'm potentially talking to people all over the world, well, where can I get involved in that, and where can I do the exam, etc. And I actually have a couple of people that I have actually spoken to before that have gone on and taken their foundation and overtaken me as well. But so yeah, it just proves that the hobby's not dead, and it's very much alive, and people do seem to take a genuine interest in it, which is great. I'm always happy to stop the activation and have a chat anytime for anyone that's interested there, because it's just only good for the hobby, I believe.
I totally agree with you. Yeah, well done, Paul. Well, look, let's just open it up to the meeting room here. Anyone in the room got a question or observation they want to put to Paul while we've got Paul here? You can either use the symbol in the bottom of the React button you've got on the screen on whatever device you're operating from. There's a place there where you can raise your hand, or if no one's jumping in, and it will be easy. I'm not running a big pile up here. Just unmute yourself and say, "I've got a question for Paul, Nick." So
I have a question and a
yeah,
comment.
go on, Bob.
First of all, I want to make sure. Is it an MC750, the Xiegu that you were mentioning? Is that what you were saying?
I was mentioning the CUW G90 radio,
the antenna.
Yeah, the antenna is the Chelegans, Mike Charlie MC750.
And it's the name of the company is
Chelegans MC750. If you do a search for it on Google, it should come straight up. I'm gonna have that now. It's a very, very good antenna. Very, very simple. It's up within in minutes. 4 short ground radials, all plug-in, and
good.
You can have the antenna. You can have the antenna up and down in 10 minutes easily.
I live in an antenna restricted area, and I use mostly verticals, except for my. So that sounds like a good antenna. I may purchase one of those.
It might be a good one to use at home. Yeah. If you're in a restricted HOA, it might. I've actually used this antenna at home in the garden and made contacts. Mm-hmm. So yeah, probably be a good option for you there.
Good.
The only thing I will say about it is it does work on all bands. But if you need to use the 40-meter band, you need to there's a little coil that comes with it. Yeah. And all you have to do is pop the coil in, and that's it. And then it'll work on 40 as well. So you just need to use that for 40 meters. But it's a fantastic antenna. It's my go-to antenna that I take if I'm going away, activating for a couple of days. It's nice and light. I can carry it around, and I can have it up and down within minutes. It's definitely my go-to antenna.
And the next comment that I have is you were talking about the wind in your area. Do you put a cover over your microphone when you're?
I don't tend to. No, I have a big hood on my coat, so I sort of shield myself away from it. I have a big, massive parka coat that I take with me if I know it's going to be windy, and I sort of shield myself under that. But like I say, I'm always wanting to better myself, etc., and probably look at some more options in the new year. But as a rule, I don't really have anything else to shield with, so I just use my big parka coat and try and shield away from the wind. Like I say, most of my activations are done in the outdoors. As I say, I only have a motorbike, don't have a car or anything, and but sometimes it's just unavoidable. If you're gonna get wind in the modulation, I do apologise sometimes, and people will comment, but 95% of the time, I always get decent reports, even if it's windy. I think a lot of it is how you're setting up your microphone as well, as you'll know. Setting up the microphones to your voice to suit your voice, especially on the FT891, can be a bit finicky. And but once you've got it right, don't tend to touch it after that, and they work perfectly fine for me portable. But like I say, that is something that I'm going to look at, headsets, etc., and windshields, and see what 2026 brings there. I'm just using as is at the moment.
Thank you very much for your comments and for the information.
No problem at all. You're welcome.
Thank you, Bob. I've got Jeff, ON8NC, with his hand up. Jeff, go ahead.
Okay. Very good evening, everyone. A very good evening, Paul. Thank you very much for the presentation, and congratulations on your activations.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'm 2 questions actually. Are you hunting from time to time? Do you find time to hunt?
I do. If the weather's not so good, I know I have a bit of a high noise level at home, but I can hunt from home. And sometimes I'll spend a day on a weekend hunting from home, which is just as much fun. Bit of a challenge at home with a higher noise level, but and I don't get to work a great deal of DX at home, whether it's the location or I've got my antenna set up. I do have quite a small garden, and I've got a couple of end-fed antennas up, one for in here, and then one in the shack in the bar outside. A couple of verticals, but I do enjoy hunting as well, and I like the challenge of just being able to use low power and for the activator to come back to me. I do a lot of hunting when I can't get out portable there.
Okay, that's great. A second one, maybe I missed that because I was distracted here. how do you log? Do you log on paper or with the program or something?
Well, if the weather's good and it's nice and sunny, I dual log. So I'll log on paper, and I'll also use a logging program as well on my mobile phone. And I use a logging program called M7CUW Polo.
Okay.
You've probably heard of it.
Yeah, that's the popular one, I
program.
think.
Pretty much does everything that you need. I did used to use Hammers, but then the full version of Hammers, I'm an Android user, you see, on a phone. The full version of Hammers isn't available for Android, so it wasn't updated therefore. But I do tend to log on with pen and paper as well, just in case anything goes wrong with the logging program, etc. But pen and paper is not great when it's throwing it down with rain. So yeah, you just have to be aware of that sometimes if you're suddenly caught in a massive shower or anything. But M7CUW Polo and pen and paper are my go-to logging methods.
Great, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Work you one day.
Hopefully,
it's a little bit too early
for
me. It's a little bit too early for me, but anyway.
I'm sure we'll QSO one day there, no problem.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Jeff. I've got Andy, 2E0GYI. Go ahead, Andy.
Yeah, thanks, Nick. Good evening, Paul. If you've got a mobile setup in your car, for example, can you drive to said park or whatever and operate from your car if you're close enough to the actual park?
You can. If the car park's within the park boundary, which most of them are, no problem. A lot of people operate from the car, and it's that's perfectly fine.
Yeah, because I was just thinking maybe, like especially disabled people who might find it difficult to, set a thing up out of the car.
Yeah.
It'd be much easier for them if they could just sit in the car and operate the radio from there.
Yeah, that brings me on to a point that I was going to mention later on, but I'll mention it now. So when I became a mapping rep, we got together and we had a lot of messages, etc., about people with disabilities, etc., and I can't get walking into a park or etc. So one of the consensus was to try and make it accessible for all, which we've done. Plenty of parks areas now for people to activate here in the UK, and perfectly fine. Sometimes the whale will take me out in the car to activate from the car. So not a problem at all. As long as that car park is within the park border, etc., then not a problem at all. You can activate from the car 100%.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Paul.
No problem. You're welcome.
Thank you, Andy. I've got Leo, M0OCZ. Go ahead, Leo.
Good evening, Leo.
We've got no audio from you, Leo. Don't think you're on mute, but we've got no audio coming through.
No, I'm not hearing anything, Nick.
Put your question in the chat.
Leo, I'll leave you to just work your way around your device there and see if you can find audio, and I'll move on to the next speaker and I'll come back to you. So I've got Steve, AA4BW. Go ahead, Steve.
Oh, thank you, and good afternoon or good evening, everyone. I want to thank you for the great things that you've done in the UK. My wife and I have had a chance to visit 2 or 3 times, and I've gotten to operate and have really, really enjoed it. It's been a wonderful experience. And I had a question. I was looking back through my logs, working Parks on the Air from home. We live in Southeast U.S. in Atlanta, and don't blame me, but we live in the southeastern U.S. and I have never worked a station in the U.K. in a park. Would you have any suggestions for someone like me wanting to try to do that?
Well, hopefully it'll happen this year. I think. What state are you in again? Let me just have a look at my QRZ map. Which state did you say you were in again?
I'm in Georgia, in Atlanta.
Right, okay. Bear with me 1 second. I'm just going to have a look on here. just going to have a look and see if that's one of the states that I've worked and how many. Let's have a look, Steve. Yeah, worked that state quite a few times. Are you operating from home, or are you hunting from the parks, or?
I do a little bit of both. Now, I've got to tell you, I usually run QRP, just a few watts, but I haven't heard any UK
You've not
stations.
heard
I
any
work
UK stations?
not heard any, so maybe I'm just in a hole. But I thought I would go straight to the professional and see if you had some suggestions.
What sort of antenna system are you using at home, if you don't mind me asking?
Oh no, at home I'm using an in-fed half wave. When I'm in the field, I typically use vertical with tuned radials or an in-fed half wave or an in-fed random wave.
Yeah. What sort of times are you going out activating?
I'm sorry?
What sort of times are you going out activating in the park?
Oh, yeah, that may be where my problem lies. Typically, I'm activating in the
Possibly.
afternoon here, sometimes in the morning here, and it would be about 5 or 6 hours offset from you all.
I'm thinking that probably the best times that I work park to parks or anyone in America is usually as it's going dusk here. So what we'll be looking at, are you about 5 hours behind?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I thought so.
Yeah, so midday.
Probably about between 11 and 12 o'clock might be a decent time to try and work the UK stations. Currently,
well, now that gives me some great ideas for things to do at lunchtime now.
I'm not saying that it'll
two.
definitely work, but it's definitely worth trying.
Worth a try. Well, listen for me. Maybe you'll hear my little tiny signal.
No, not a problem at all. I'll definitely listen out for you, and hopefully I'll be able to work you this year. But yeah,
thank you.
With it being in winter as well, obviously the bands have been not as good as last year. Might I add, the bands have been quite open to stateside in Canada. Last year was mad. It was really good last year, but this year not so good. When 10 meters, 12 meters and 10 meters opens, 15 meters, it's absolutely fantastic. But last year was much better than it has been this year so far there, Steve, if I'm being honest with you.
Well, thank you so much. I will hopefully look forward to talking with you and some of the other folks there sometime soon.
No problem. I'm sure you'll make that UK park contact very soon there, Steve.
Thank you, my friend.
No worries. You're welcome. Thank you.
Paul and Steve, I find that working in the afternoon has brought me DX contacts. So on HF, so a UK afternoon, that's your morning. And that's been quite effective. And if you're working, as you are, Steve, low power, I've found in the last few weeks, running up to Christmas and since Christmas, 10 meters has been very good. Again in the afternoon. So 10 meters in particular, I went on the other day, I activated the club call sign M7CUW, and this was on CW, not sideband. I worked a bit of a pile-up of US stations and down into Cuba and Puerto Rico. So, some good propagation on 10 meters. And 10 meters, as lots of people in the room will know from their experience in operating on HF, is extremely good for CW. Oh, we've got some feedback from someone. For CW. Oh, where are we getting that from?
You got a bit of an echo there, Nick.
we have, yeah. So I'm just putting a couple of people on mute. I've found that CW has done very well for me, Steve, particularly QRP, and I would say 10 meters in the morning for you would be pretty good. And I also find 40 meters in the evening on CW has been good to get into the States as well over the winter period. So before Christmas and in the last few days when I've had an opportunity of getting on the radio, it's been pretty good. So have a tune up on 40 meters at lunchtime for you in the afternoon, Steve, and you may well find some propagation.
Well, thank you. I'm going to give it a good shot. thank you all so much.
Thank you, Steve.
Cheers.
Right, I'm going to go back to Leo, M0OCZ. Do you want to unmute, Leo, and see if you've got your
Okay.
mic going?
Hopefully everything. Can you hear me?
Brilliant.
Yeah,
Go
Okay,
ahead.
thumbs up. Perfect. Okay, let's give this another go. Yeah, I was wondering how new parks are added to POTA. Is it based on like interest, or are there like specific guidelines that parks have to follow?
Well, parks on the air, as I mentioned before, yeah, we try and make it accessible for all. There are parks that that we don't tend to add. So everyone's going to disagree to agree on what parks meet the criteria, and but usually parks with green space, a lot of green space, maybe a woodland, etc., can be considered for POTA. You're quite welcome to email me through QRZ or even there's three of us there with any suggestions. The only thing that we don't really like adding to POTA is if it's just basically a kids' playground and that's it, nothing else, no green space. As we know here in the UK, 90% of parks do have a children's play area. I would suggest not setting up near there. But if we got rid of all the parks that had a play area, I mean, some nature reserves have them as well, etc., then there probably wouldn't be anything to activate. But so in a nutshell, there are some parks I do turn away parks, and they'll come to me and it'll be to say, oh, it's a child's playground or a kid's playground or something like that. Then that's a no. If that's all it is, then it's not viable for POTA.
All right, that sounds quite
yeah.
Quite broad. So yeah, sounds great.
So basically, what I'm trying to say is that most parks do have a children's play area, even the big country parks, etc. But that's fine.
Yeah.
But if it's just, I mean, I've had all sorts. I've had all sorts of requests. Someone's patch of grass at the end of the road or something like that. It's you get it all, and you just have to just turn it away and just say, look, I'll have a look at the map with you and see what's around you. And sometimes they're not even aware that some of these parks are on the system that they can go and activate. So as a rule, most parks, nature reserves, SSSIs, country parks, historic sites is another good one that we had. So like old Iron Age forts, etc., hillsides, all very good ideas for POTA. But right. like I say, if someone comes to me and it's just like a couple of swings and a roundabout, no, it's not happening. And
I also saw there are some parks that have like 0 activations. How are those added into the system? Is it automatically
they're just parks that people have probably suggested and nobody's gone out and activated them. I'm sure there will be in the near future. It's always nice to activate a park as well that nobody's activated before. And even some of the parks that were added well before I became a mapping rep haven't been activated, even some of the lower numbers. So just get out there and activate and have a look and see what's around you. But just because the park hasn't been activated doesn't mean that it won't be activated in the near future there, Leo.
All right. Yeah. Thanks for answering my questions.
That's no problem.
Thank you, Leo. Paul, I've got a couple of people on YouTube. Paul M7VTG, Lee, I think his name is, says, hello, nice to see you, Paul.
Yeah.
And says, good evening to you. And he was followed by Chavez, KJ5HHT, who says he's in the Houston area of Texas.
Okay.
Have you made any contacts into Texas?
Texas. Let's have a look. Yeah, Texas. Probably about 56 contacts from the park into Texas.
There you go, brilliant, Chavez. 56 contacts already into Texas. You can be the next one.
Come on, you can do it.
I'm gonna put another question to you from in the room here because he's got his hand up. But I want to talk about spotting in a second with you. But
Yeah,
let's come back to that. Terry, G7WRS, you got your hand up. Go ahead, Terry.
Yeah, hi, Paul. Yeah, question I've got, and I get what I'm confused on. How can you tell if a park is a twofer?
Yeah, we've had this conversation before, haven't we, Terry? How are you doing? Happy New Year to you there.
How do you do, mate?
I'm all right. Nice to hear you. We've worked a few times now, haven't we?
Well, I'll tell you what, there's a park that I want to go to Friday. I've worked before, but I may not get the car there. So I've looked at another park, and someone's worked it as a twofer, and I don't think it is. I don't want to drop them in it.
No. Sometimes it's a bit of a grey area, twofers and threefers. You know, all I say to people is you're doing this to the best of your ability. It's not always clear cut on where borders are, as you probably know. There are tools like hand map and magic maps, etc., but it doesn't cover the half of it.
I've looked at magic
maps. It doesn't cover the half of it, you see. So what's the said part that you're querying?
Best Fault Nature Reserve near Newark.
Have you got okay? Right, let's have a look. Just gonna have a look.
GB 5000.
GB 5000. Right, okay, let's see. Best Fault Nature Reserve. Okay. Is this the one with the Trent Vale Way?
Well, no, what's there?
Possibly. There's a trail.
Because the one by the side of it is Trent Valley Nature Scenic Trail thing. It looks like someone's done that as a twofer. That's why I asked.
It does. And looking at the map, it looks like it is possible, but not from all of the reserve. Maybe the top end of the reserve there.
Yeah.
So like you've got, if you're looking at the map now, the reserve's actually covering. It's like a hammer shape. So you've got the bottom shape there, and then you've got it moving up to the top there towards Trent Lane. So that green area there, looking at that, is actually part of the nature reserve. So the Trent Vale Way is actually running through it at the top end. Does that make sense, Terry?
Yeah.
It's tricky. It's it's really, really tricky when it comes to twofers and threefers, etc. All I say to people is, just do it to the best of your ability. Do your research, have a look at the trail maps, etc. But I'm looking at that now, and to me, that top area there, where I'm looking, looks like it could be a twofer in that area, but not the. Yeah. So you know what the score is with it goes around there actually. So yeah, if you're in the right area of that nature reserve, as long as you're within 100 feet or 30 meters of that trail to where you can see that on the map, then I would be classing that as a twofer. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's just I don't know what vehicle I'll have. The one I want to go to has got a height barrier.
Right. Yeah, that's another problem sometimes as well. So sometimes we just have to rough it, and if there are height barriers, etc., it's just something that we just have to deal with. I can't tell from my research, apart from the ones that I do know about that have height barriers, that actually say on the website. Then sometimes you'll get to a park or a reserve and there'll be a height barrier. I do encourage people to email me and tell me if people do run into these issues when they come to a park or a reserve, and I can just add it onto the notes there at the bottom, just saying the parking and
the one I've done last year was the RSBB place, and that's got a 2.2 meter post on it. So I know the car will go under there, but I may take the van with me Friday, and the van won't.
No, you don't want.
But it will make an open roof.
Yeah, I don't want to be taking the top of your van off there, Terry.
Right, thanks a lot, Paul.
That's all right, yeah. But before I actually move on, Terry's touched on a good point there. I've just seen a comment come up at the bottom of the screen. Somebody asking what twofer is. So just before I pass back to Nick there, I'm just going to explain what multiple reference activations are. So twofers, threefers. So basically what it is, it's where a park or a trail might overlap with another park or another nature reserve, and you can actually activate 2 or 3 different references all at once. There might be a trail that runs through a park, and that park might be part of a bigger forest or an area in the UK. So for instance, let me try and use an example here. So Peak District National Park. Peak District National Park's a good one. If you're in the POTA app, you can see various yellow dots within the Peak District National Park, and if you're operating from one of those, then that will class as a twofer. So basically, it's an overlap. It's an overlap of parks or trails. So you can potentially be in multiple parks all at once, and you can activate them all at once as long as you're within the borders of the park or within 30 meters or 100 foot of the trail. Does that make sense?
I think it does, Paul. I think people who hadn't heard the 2 for 1, three for 1 as a concept, we're trying to work out what a twofer is. I think you've explained that very well, and I mean, Terry's right. I didn't know that there were, for example, I go up to Blackstone Edge sometimes, and you can work from 2 or 3 different park entities at the same time when you're there. So it's worth doing because you're more likely to get people chasing you. I want to come back to that, Paul. Let me just go on to Joe first of all, M7CUW, and then I'll go to John, M9KMG. Joe, do you want to go first?
Hiya. Hi, Paul.
Hiya. Evening, Joe.
I was just, I'm looking at getting a G90 myself, and I wondered how highly you rate it, really, or if there's any other options that you would suggest.
G90 is an absolute perfect starting point. I also have the X6100 as well, which is a 10-watt radio, which is also a very, very good radio, but 10 watts less. But for activating, I know a lot of activators that use the G90 and don't use anything else. So as a starting point radio and bang for the buck price, it's perfect for activating, especially when the conditions are right. You can work the world on 20 watts. Well, I have done anyway. And as I touched on before, your antenna's everything. So if you're getting that antenna out and getting all those 20 watts into your antenna and a good resident antenna, then you'll work the world with a G90 from the park. It can be done there, Joe.
Well, thank you for that, Paul.
And for the price, you're getting a lot of radio for your money.
Yeah. Okay.
Lots and lots of features, even has mic compression. You've got the waterfall, albeit a small waterfall, but it gives you a good idea. It's nice and light, nice and portable, doesn't weigh much, and very, very, very easy to use. And I've had some fantastic results with my G90, and I'd never part with it.
Oh, okay. Thank you for that. That's
no problem.
A stunning review from you, then.
Not a problem. You're welcome.
Thank you,
Joe. Before you go, I know we've got a couple of people in the room who use the G90 and have used it quite a bit, portable. One is Ken, G4VZV. The other is Mike and Adriana in Northern Germany, DL1BJW and DL8BDT. Do either of you like to just say a few words about your experiences using the G90? Mike and Adriana?
Yeah. Hello. Thank you for all the interesting informations. Yes, I'm using a G90 for I think about 3 years time, and it's a wonderful radio. I think we use it as a home station and also for portable use from the car, and an antenna on the roof of the car with a mag mount. And we had been working from Germany all over Europe and into Africa and into the US, and all with 20 watts. So I think it's an excellent radio for POTA.
Definitely.
So that's all. I think with this radio, you can do anything.
That's true. You can do anything with it. It's a fantastic radio, and for the money, the price that you pay for it, there's nothing better really. The price.
Yeah, and 20 watts are enough if you are outside, as you said.
Yeah.
And it's better than 10 watts. There is a difference. We are using also KX2. Mike is using a KX2
right,
sometimes,
okay.
and this is quite good. And we had astonishing results if we had been near the sea, near the salt water with this. But out on the field in the car, I think the G90 with 20 watts is much more effective.
Of course, yeah. You're doubling the power, aren't you? So it is more effective, yeah.
Yeah.
But like I touched on before, your antenna's everything. I think, if you've got a resonant antenna, and you're pushing those 20 watts into that antenna, all those 20 watts are getting out at the end of that antenna for me. So as a regards to taking a tuner and putting I don't know, for you guys, 100 watts into maybe a random wire, you're not going to get all that power out of that antenna. That's my theory anyway. So you're using your 20 watts, you've got your antenna, you've got your mag mount on your car, you've got your antenna tube, you've got your SWAR right down, and all that power is going out of your antenna. I'm just a big stickler for it. That's all. I like to have something that's resonant. I have used the Rybakoffs, etc. Before now, had fun with them, but I've always gone back to something that's resonant. And you guys probably agree.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. No problem. No problem.
Thank you, Adrian. I hope that was helpful to Joe as well.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Right, I've got two people and some other people I want to pick up for them in the chat as well. So, Mandarin Henry, got your hand up.
Good evening.
Good evening. Thanks for the talk. Thanks for the context. One of the things that you mentioned and is in the listing are SSSIs, which the Americans don't know about because it's a British system.
It is.
Fundamentally, it's a keep off sign. So how come they're in there?
Some do have public access. Some don't. Some are on private land. So we do quite a lot of research before adding SSSIs. Some SSSI. Oh, I can't even say it now. Put your teeth back in, Paul. Cliff tops, etc. on the coastal. But some SSSIs do have a public access. We do remove parks and SSSIs, etc. If access is denied or it becomes private, etc. But a lot of the SSSIs do have a public access, like footpath that goes through them, etc. where you could activate from. But if it does come to it, and people come to me, which I've done before, with SSSIs that have been on the system for quite a long time, not being able to access the land, it's private land, it's a no-go, then it just gets removed from the system there.
Okay, fine,
yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you, Henry. For people's benefit, an SSSI is a site of special scientific interest. So if everyone's scratching their heads thinking, what's an SSSI? It's a site of special scientific interest. Colin, G6MXL. Go ahead, Colin.
Thanks, and great talk. Thanks. Can't go back to basics a little bit. I've got a couple of queries about what counts as an activation.
Okay, yeah.
So my understanding is that if I go out and activate somewhere, I need to make at least 10 QSOs. Is that correct?
That is correct, yeah.
Right. In the event, let's say that I make 6.
Yeah. It's not a failure. It's not a failure. I say this to people. Get disheartened. They'll go out. They'll do an activation, and Paul, I only got like 4 contacts, and people get disheartened. Now, say if you went to a park and made those six contacts, it's within the spirit of POTA for you to still upload that log.
Yep.
Because if you don't, then the hunters won't get any credit for it. So, like, I've sort of had people that come to me and say, "Oh, well, you know, I've deleted the log." I said, "Why have you done that?" Because you've actually, you know, it's not a failure. It's just not an activation of the park. It is still registered, and you will still see the contacts, and the activation will show. It just won't show as a completed activation. So I say to people, just, you know, if conditions are not great, you only make a couple of contacts, but do still upload the log.
Right.
Somebody might be wanting that park, you see.
Yeah.
It might be a rare one, and if the log's not uploaded, they'll never get any credit for working it.
Fine. So imagine today I go to a park and I work 6.
Yeah.
Few weeks down the road, I go back to the same park and I work another 6. That's still not that's still not a complete activation.
It isn't, though. It's got to be, yeah. The 10 contacts have got to be made within the day, within the work, you know, the date.
Yeah.
So this proves a little bit of a problem with. We're lucky because our day starts, you know, our UTC day starts basically from midnight to midnight, or plus an hour or so in winter, whatever else. When you look at other countries like the US, etc., and Steve will probably, you know, touch on this as well, their UTC time is completely different. So, like, they could be doing an activation and it might, you know, middle of the day or whatever, and it'll swap over into the next UTC, and that'll split the activation.
Yeah.
So basically, once the day is done in UTC time, anything after that will be a separate activation. So in a nutshell, if you're doing the activation, you get 6 contacts. You go back the week after and get 6 contacts. That's two. Not quite activations.
Yeah, but still both uploadable.
Yes, because they're not a complete fail.
No.
It just means that you haven't made 10 to activate the park for yourself. But the hunters will still, if you upload your log, the hunters will still get the credit for hunting you in that park.
Brilliant. Okay, that's just what I wanted to clarify. Thanks.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, that's fine. Not a problem.
Colin, and of course we've had 2 queries about that. Steve from Georgia came on saying, "I've never yet worked anyone in an English park." So, you know, you could be the person making those 6 contacts, not an activation for you in terms of a credit on the POTA system for activating. But Steve has suddenly worked his first park in the UK, in England. And
absolutely.
So he's absolutely over the moon about it. Or Chavez, KJ5HT, was on earlier asking the same question. You know, has anyone worked anyone, you know, in Texas? So, you know, there will be people that will be looking for a UK contact and just delighted to work, particularly if you're in quite a rare area where the park hasn't been activated many times for whatever reason. There will be people very keen on doing that because it adds to their number of parks that they've worked.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm fully with that. I just wanted to clarify whether 2 partials counted as a whole, and they don't.
Yeah. They don't. No, that's correct. Yeah.
Fine. That's
one thing I've run into here in the States is since GMT switches about 7 or 8 in the evening.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll operate like 2300 to 00 and get an activation, and then do another one for a little bit right after that. Then go home and eat supper. And if I don't get quite enough that evening, I'll just right back over there in the morning. It's still the same day. And
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Can add a few more that time. It's great fun. Great fun.
So it sometimes, like you say there, Steve, sometimes it works to your advantage. And like you say, with the UTC being different all over the world, it has its pros and cons, I guess.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I've got John in Newbury. Go ahead, John.
Oh yeah, thanks, Paul. Just to clarify, rivers.
Rivers.
Yeah, the 100-foot rule.
Yeah.
If it runs through a registered park and it's a registered river, That's a twofer?
It is, as long as you're within 100 feet or 30 metres.
Okay. Yeah. And one last thing, I'd just like to thank you personally for doing about 10 parks for me around Newry.
Oh, no problem. You're
Thanks
welcome.
for the same. Thanks.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Not a problem. So that's what I'm here for. You know, to try and help everyone out and get everyone out portable. And you know, like Nick was saying before, there's so many people out portable now here in the UK. It seems to have taken off in a really big way. And yeah, you're very welcome. And anything else, just let me know.
Cheers.
You're welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, John, and thanks, Paul. Paul, I just want to ask you something for people new to Parks on the Air, who are thinking, well, actually, I'm perhaps not going to go out and operate in a park at the moment because it's too blinking cold. But I will sit at home and chase a few POTA stations. Just explain to people how they will see where people have spotted themselves as activating, and where people can go and look for you.
Not a problem at all. So, as I touched on before, there is an app called POTA.app. So this is that particular app. I'm going to load it up on my screen now. You'll be able to see, as soon as you open it, you've got a section at the top. You'll be able to see all the stations that are currently in parks. You can filter all these as well. So you might only want to see the ones that are using SSB or phone or CW or FT8. And all the categories will be there on active spots. The frequency will be posted, how long ago they were on that frequency. And yeah, that's how you find where people are on the radio. So spin the dial to that frequency if you can hear them, try and work them and hunt them, and you'll get the credit for hunting. Sometimes there's some almighty pile-ups, and using only 25 watts can be a little bit of a challenge sometimes. But yeah, on the Parks on the Air app, it's fantastic, and you'll see all the spots there. And of course, when you're out activating, you can spot yourself on this app. You do need a self-service, or you can get someone to spot for you. Also, there's an activations tab under the spots where you can schedule an activation. And I'm not quite sure how well this works, but if you put the correct time in and the park, etc., it is supposed to auto spot you unless you cancel the activation at that particular time on that particular frequency. So yeah, so that's how we find out where people are. You go work them on the station. As a hunter, there's nothing that you need to do regarding logging in the POTA app. That's all done by the activator. By all means, I always log all my contacts QRZ, and then I'll transfer those to Log of the World and also Club Log. Not everyone uses those platforms. But as a hunter, you don't need to log anything via POTA. That's all down to the activator to do that, and you'll get the credit for it. So that's how we find out where people are. I've got one here at the moment, just as an example. There's a Kilo 8 Mike Sugar Tango in US 11796 Socorro Natural Area. He's currently operating on 14278, 20 meters. And usually, sometimes people will respot as well, just to let people know that particular operator is still on that frequency, and he's just been respotted again there. So that's how we find how people are on frequency. Obviously, sometimes people operators are spotted on the cluster. Often I'll be out activating and I'll get a hunter saying, would you like me to, if struggling for a few contacts or whatever, they'll say to me, would you like me to either respot you and or spot you on the cluster, which also brings in a few extra contacts now and again. So yeah, all the spots are there on the Parks on the Air website app. So that's POTA.app. Yeah, does that explain it?
Yeah, thank you very much, Paul. Yeah, I knew there would be people in the room who wonder how they find out who's
no problem.
So that's really helpful. I've got a question to you, Paul. What's the best DX that you've worked when you've been out in a park?
I've got a story to tell about this. Okay, so my best ever contact, probably not rare, but I sometimes take out my 817 when I can't be bothered taking anything else, put it in my coat pocket, and fed, and a little rucksack. I was in Heaton Park, Manchester, 2023. And I took my little 817 with me. And the band, to be fair, the bands were pretty good. And I managed to work an Alaska station. I was only using 2.5 watts SSB. So I just thought, give myself a challenge. 70 or 75 contacts that day across 20 meters and 40 meters. And to this day, I have. There is another one as well, actually, but this was my favourite one. I forget the name of the operator now. It might be A7KLC or something like that. 2.5 watts from the FT817, 5 and 5 into Alaska, and that's, you'll know yourself. Some of them, stick out, and that for me is the one that sticks out the most. Just on 2.5 watts. That's all I was running. I was just running the WinCamp battery. I have a WinCamp battery on that one. Didn't have an external battery or anything. Just the WinCamp, which is an add-on battery that some of you have probably heard of for the ASU FT817818. And yeah, 2.5 watts and a 5 and 5 into Alaska. Really, really chuffed with that one. And that's the other one that sticks out is I think it was early 2024, one of my early morning ones. Again, taking out limited equipment, just a quick one before work, and 5 watts with the FT817 and a small external battery, 6AH battery this time. And I managed to work, I think he's called, got it here actually, pretty sure it's VK2, which that's the one, yeah. Victor Kilo 2, Uniform Sugar Hotel. 5 watts park to park with the 817. Giving him a 4 and a 4. This was about 20 to 7 in the morning, March time, 2024. So those are the two that stand out for me. Because it's QRP. First time 2.5 watts Alaska SSB, and the second time just the 5 watts there with Steve VK2 USH there in Australia for a park to park. I have made other QRP contacts with the 817, but those are the two that I can remember that stand out there.
Thank you, Paul. And on the chat, Ian 2E0ISD says, "What's your favourite park? Did you get your Kilo award here? And can you name a 3-foot or 4-foot or better? Because you're not so far away from me." He lives in Meltham, so he's not a million miles away, but never done anything but a single so far. Thanks, okay. Ian. If I'm just going to reply to Ian. Ian, if you walk up the road from Meltham, you're of course in the Peak District National Park, so there's a one to start with.
Yeah.
If you stand on the Pennine Way, Ian, you're immediately doing 2. So actually, I know exactly where Ian lives. If you literally walk up from your house to the Greenfield Road and stand there, you are immediately working a 2 for Ian. But I think there's a 3 for possible there as well, because the Pennine Bridleway is up there too. Paul, go on, over to you.
Yeah, favourite parks. Well, favourite parks that are not multiple 2-fers, etc., is a park that I always used to go to because it was the nearest park to me, and this shows how we've come. So it still is a favourite park for me, and that's Hardcastle Crags. Nick will know this one, which is just on the top of Hebden Bridge there. And the only reason I mentioned this park, the first park I got my kilo at, is because it was the only park, it was the nearest park to me. And to be fair, that park from my home QTH is, let's just have a look. Prepared tonight, you see, got the PC open. So the nearest park to me was 40 minutes away originally, before we got all these other parks added. So that's where I did my first activation. And I haven't been back there for a while, but it's still one of my favourites. My go-to park, which has become one of my favourites to work, is obviously one that is near to my works. And that's a very nice park with lots of green space, lots of flora, trees, etc. And it's a park called Whitefield Park, which is actually in the town of Whitefield. And it's a lovely area for activating, plenty of benches, lots of trees, etc., and lots of out of the way areas. And it's only 10 minutes walk down to work from there. So Whitefield Park is another one, and that's reference. Let's have a look. A second, just bear with me 1 second. Can't remember the number. Whitefield Park, Golf Bravo 1694. Now, favourite multiple activation. And Nick will know all about this one. Todmorden Moor, which covers a wide area around here. So Todmorden Moor, which I believe is GB 2900. So on Todmorden Moor, there's a lot of a couple of trails that go through there, and where I like to go, it's a place called Flower Scar, which is on the top of Todmorden Moor, and 2 trails pass through there, and the takeoff's brilliant. I can go up there on my bike, take my motorbike up there. There's a parking spot and some rocks, etc. Set up an MFED or whatever else, and that's where I set up on Todmorden Moor is a free-for with the Todmorden Geology National Scenic Trail, and also the Todmorden Centenary Way. So for localness, that's around 10 minutes away from me, and for multiple park reference, that's one of my favourites, especially in summer. It's absolutely lovely up there. Take your radio up there, no noise, nothing at all, and just crack on with your radio. And I spend quite a bit of time up there, to be fair, when the weather's good. As Nick touched on before there, in Meltham, so there are quite a lot. And you're right near the Peak District Park there, aren't you? So let's just have a look on the map. Bear with me, everybody. So if we move over to Meltham area, which is, here we go, Huddersfield Way. So yeah, again, like I say, you've got the Peak District National Park there, right on your doorstep, and there are a lot of multiple activation opportunities right there in that park. Using that as an example. Sorry, I'm waffling a bit here. So a good one to start with, the one that probably Nick suggested there. Like I say, you walk up the road in the Peak District National Park, and you've got the 2 trails crossing over there. I'm just going to have a quick look now. So,
you've got the Pennine Way, and you've got the you've got the Trans-Pennine Trail as well.
Yeah, which cross over, yeah. So quite a few bits and pieces near Meltham, isn't there? You've got the Robert Ashton Park, Blackmore Foot Reservoir, and there might be some scope to add some more there as well. But that might be a good one to start off with there, if I'm being honest. I don't know the area particularly well, so I would need to do more research on that for you there.
The only difficulty you've got, Paul, and so Ian's already said thank you that I've been missing out.
All right. Okay.
The only difficulty we've got here, sometimes I find this, is there are things. I mean, for example, it's not even obvious you might be in an area. There's one, isn't there, called the Southern Pennine Moors or something like that, and it's very unclear exactly what the area that covers and whether you're in it or out of it. That's number one. But number two, you've got these massive trails. You know, you've got the Pennine Way, you've got the Trans-Pennine Trail, which is quite long. You've got the Pennine Bridle Way, and these cover, you know, potentially hundreds of miles of countryside. So there are lots of opportunities, but they don't immediately come up. So if you look at somewhere like, you know, one of the reservoirs, for example, it doesn't immediately occur to you that there might be one of these other great big long ones that are going through there as well.
Exactly. So that I always try and do a bit of research before. And now I get asked this question. This moves me on to my next point, actually, about the POTA app and the famous yellow dot. So yeah, the yellow dot is just an area within that trail or that park. So people coming up to me and saying, I've got to be on the yellow dot to activate the park. Which you would do. If you didn't know any different, you'd be like, yeah, well, but completely agree with what you're saying there, Nick. What I do advise people to do is just have a look at maps on the internet and do a bit of research before going out and doing these multiple park activations or the trails. I do it, and I've had great joy from it, and finding out, you know, whether I'm in the right place or not. There are, like I say, there are tools like the hand map on GitHub there, or magic maps, etc. But it doesn't cover everything, so you've just got to be a bit savvy, I think, and just do a bit of research. If you're not sure about something, then just do some research before and have a look at the trails. And you know, if there is a park and you think the trail might go through it, just look it up. Or if you see a yellow dot, you know, and have a look on where on the trail that is. It's a bit of a, if I'm being honest, it's a bit of a minefield when it comes to trails and you know, whether you're in that particular area or not. There are a lot of tools on the internet to do, you know, to do as much research as you can, but you know, it can be tricky there, and I do agree with you.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, I mean, I think what you said is right, Paul. Just do a bit of research in and have a look, and
that's what I do.
Yeah, and it's possible you might have got it wrong. You might have actually not be operating one of those entities. But at the end of the day, we're all doing this for fun, and if you make if you make a mistake, no one's going to stick any points on your license.
Of course not.
No one's going to fine you. We're just going to try and operate within the spirit of the rules.
Yeah, that's what I said originally on the first point that I brought up. We activate and operate to the best of our ability.
Yeah.
Okay, if it's not quite right, you know, like I say, nobody's going to come and, you know, close your radio station down or whatever. You know, it is really, really tricky sometimes to determine where these borders are. And if you're doing that within the spirit of POTA, the best of your ability, and you know, you're near or you're in the park or whatever, you know, we're out there having fun at the end of the day. There's no hard sell or anything like that. We're out having fun. We're operating our radios. We're getting more and more people out portable within these parks. And I do suggest that people do a bit of research, but first and foremost, you go out there and you have fun. I've just seen a comment underneath here about what if you live in the park. So this is a good one. This. So if you live in the park, it needs to be an area. If you're activating from in that particular park, you can't be in your house, but it's got to be publicly accessible. So like, say if your house is in the Peak District National Park or whatever else, you've got to operate from a public place. Hope that answers your question there. I think it was Phil. I think, I'm not sure.
Yeah, that was Phil. Phil asked that question. If you live in the park, yeah, Phil. Yeah, what Paul said is absolutely right. There, isn't it? It has to be public land that anyone can go into. So, if you've got a fence from your back of your house that takes you into public park, open the fence and operate from there.
That's it. Yeah, I get asked that question. I get asked that question a lot. It does come up quite a lot. And if you look through the POTA rules and regulation, it has to be a publicly accessible place. It can be on private land with a public footpath. I get this asked as well. There is one on the East Coast, Freythorpe Beach, and the car park. It's a private car park, but it's payable, but it's public. So there's all these things to take into consideration. So some of the parks on the system are council owned. Some of them are privately owned with public access. So we just need not to get confused with that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, a good example, Paul. Last year, when I was on holiday in France on a campsite in southwest France, I was actually within an area of one of the POTA designated parks next to a river. But where the campsite I was on, the public path went literally past where I was actually camping. Yeah. So literally I was able to stick my antenna next to that park, next to the path, and operate from there. So we can do it. It's fine.
Yeah. It can be done, yeah. But as long as it's publicly accessible.
Yeah.
That's it in a nutshell. I don't want people to get confused between public parks, public areas, and privately owned.
Yeah.
Because privately owned, as we mentioned before, SSSIs sometimes have public rights of way going through them. So this is the confusion sometimes lies here. Well, it's private. It's a private car park, but public people can park in it. There's a public, you know what I'm trying to say, don't you? I just don't want that to confuse people.
Yeah, I do indeed. I've got Leo again, M7CUW. Go ahead, Leo.
Hello. Some of my friends were interested in doing POTA, but they were worried about like members of the public, I guess, asking them questions about like what they're doing and stuff.
Yeah.
Or like getting weird looks or something like that. So how do you interact with people interested in what you're doing in the park?
I just, if they come over and generally, as I touched on before earlier on in the meeting, the general public are quite positive about radio, etc., and what are you doing. Even the younger generation. If I'm not too busy, I will stop and have a chat with them and explain what I'm doing, and explain about amateur radio, etc. Sometimes it might have to be brief. We've got a massive pilot going on. They might come over and ask what I'm doing, and I'll just ask them just to stand by while I just finish the pilot. Then we can have a listen then. So, for instance, a couple of months ago, I was working a big pile up in a park, and I had a gentleman come over, and he was asking what I was doing, and I said to him, just have a listen, and I'll be with you shortly.
I'd love to drag them along at some point to show them that it's not something to be afraid of.
I've had all sorts, me. For instance, a couple of Christmases ago, I was working at Lund Park, not too far away from here, Lund Millennium Green, and I had one lady come over and say, "You can't take away our green space. We're not having any more houses built on here. I've already made a petition." So no, I'm just operating my radio here in the park, and I have a little placard as well. I'll show you this. Let me just see if I can get this out of here. I had this made for me, so I do take this with me. See that? Probably the wrong way up.
Wow. Yeah.
So I take that with me sometimes, and I'll say I'm an amateur radio operator, and they'll say, "What music are you playing? And who are you broadcasting to? Are you working for the BBC?" And then I'll just say to them, "No, it's just a hobby, amateur radio, and we're just trying to contact people. Or people are trying to contact us from home, and or people might be in another park at the other side of the world." And to be honest, Leo, it's one of those. You're always going to get one or two.
I've met some interesting people as well
that frown upon it. I had an incident, not really an incident, in a park last year. For everyone on here, don't get wrong, I love dogs. I've got 3 myself, but every now and again you'll get someone and they'll just have the dog off the lead and you see you're busy with your radio, and the dogs will just come and plough through it all, pulling radials out, etc. And yeah, you're going to get it. You just have to be prepared for it. That's all. But on the whole, most people are very positive and very interested in what you're doing. And like I said before, 2 people I know personally, I've just met at the park. Never been interested in radio before. Kept in touch with them, and they've both now passed their foundation.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Just from coming to have a look at and seeing what I'm doing in the park. Absolutely never operated a radio before. Had a listen. Said, "Yeah, quite welcome to have a listen to me do this." And that's amazing. And I've put them in touch with Essex Ham, which run a very, very good foundation course. That's how I passed mine. Hopefully, when I get a bit more time, looking at progressing eventually. Just don't be afraid to talk to the public and just explain what you're doing. They'll either walk away, not be interested, or they'll have a conversation with you there, Leo.
Yeah, I'll have to drag them along to. I've had some interesting people as well. I think there was one time where a lady came up and asked me if I was communicating with someone beyond the ice wall that's around the flat Earth or something.
I've had that. Yeah. Are you talking to
the dead? You noticed some interesting people. You meet some interesting people doing it.
Yeah, I've had that before. Yeah, are you doing an Ouija board or something, or are you talking to the dead? Yeah, you get it all. It's part and parcel of it,
Yeah, but people are harmless, so
yeah, of course they are. Yeah,
not something to be afraid of.
Yeah, of course. So I just tell them just to go with it. If people want to come and ask questions, then if you're busy, just ask them to have a listen while you do it, and then have a chat with them when you get a break.
Yeah.
That's how I do it. Everyone's different, but that's how I deal with it.
Yeah, I mean, a bit like Paul, I've had some funny ones, Leo. When I operated next to a reservoir, and I had my pole supporting a wire, and immediately someone came over and said, "Are you fishing in there? You're not allowed to fish in that reservoir."
I'll get that one as well, yeah.
so I was explaining I was fishing, but not for fish. This is a wire that I'm using with my radio here to transmit, and I'm fishing in the radio waves to see who's going to come and talk to me. So that was an interesting conversation. And last year I had a nice one when a group of kids suddenly arrived, about 15 years old. About half a dozen of them asked me what I was doing. I was on Morse code. I didn't have headphones on. It's coming out through the speaker. And they were saying, "What's that noise?" I said, "It's Morse code." Wow, that's sick, they were saying, So they all wanted to know about it, and they wanted to try the radio out. So I let a couple of them have a go on the radio and tried to teach one of them a little bit of Morse code. And about 5 minutes later, the teacher who was out with these kids came across and apologized. He said, "I'm really sorry if they've disturbed you." I said, "No," I said, "we've been having great fun, really enjoying it."
Exactly, yeah, that's what it's all about.
So I think what people have said on the chat is right. I think it's a good idea, and I sometimes forget and I kick myself because it's always on moments like that where I don't have the bit of paper to hand out to people. If you can just take a bit of time, just print off a little, A5 side a bit of paper, just saying what you're doing and some links to places where people can find out about radio.
Oh, yeah.
Whether that's, in our case, our club website or Essex Ham, wherever it might be, somewhere where people can go and have a look and find something they'll be interested in, and maybe a contact point if you're in a local club where people can contact you and say, oh, I met you, or I met someone from your club and wants to find out more. I think we need to be aware, really, that even, that I wasn't surprised, because I know young people's interest in life is so great that they're, even at 15 or younger, they're going to be interested in what we're doing, just as many of us were. I started in radio at the age of 12, 13 years old, and I found it fascinating then. There's no reason why a 12 or 13-year-old wouldn't find it fascinating today, other than the fact they've got a million other distractions that we didn't have in my very early days as a youngster, pre the internet and so on. But nevertheless, that I think we can all be, when we're doing radio, can't we, Paul? We can all be ambassadors to this great hobby we're all enjoying.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We can all be, yeah. And like I say, it's just proving that the hobby's not dead. It's, but schemes like, SOTA, POTA, bunkers on the air, etc. It's just all good for the hobby. It's just getting more and more people out using the radio, and I'm proud to be part of it. If I'm being honest with you, there, Nick.
Well, look, Paul, I think no, Roger, I was going to say, we've got no one else with their hand up, and then Roger waved. Go on, Roger, go on quickly.
Last question then, Paul. The parks themselves, do you have a sort of a minimum square footage or minimum area that they cover?
No. No, we've got on the system, we have the UK's smallest park and the UK's smallest unofficial park. So anything can be considered like a small park or a small area.
Right. So the reason I ask it, I know there's a little area up the road which is owned by a local land charity.
Right. Okay.
So that is publicly accessible. There's a public footpath runs through it, and it's publicly accessible. It's owned by a land charity, so it'll be utility. So you could nominate that, and it's a few hundred feet long and 50 foot wide or something. I don't know exactly the area, but that would be allowable. That area.
I could certainly take a look at it for you. If you want to send me an email through QRZ, just send it to me. Just and I'll have a look at it and see if we can get it sorted for you.
No, just out of curiosity, it's not on your map at the moment. So I just wondered what the criteria was. I couldn't see the exact criteria written down anywhere.
So the criteria, like I mentioned before earlier in the meeting, any green space can be considered. It doesn't matter if it's small. Everyone will agree to disagree of what's acceptable and what isn't. The only things, again, it's like if it's just a kid's playground or whatever else. It's not really within the spirit of POTA. But small green areas, they can be considered. That's
it's a bit of rough land with a footpath running through it, but there's a in the middle of it. There's a bit of an old quarry that used to be there 100 years ago. So it's all rough ground now.
Right. Okay. Does it have an official name or a website or?
I can send you a link to where it is. It's got a trig point in the middle of it, so it's easy.
Oh, has it? See that might be no way that we can sort it for you. You see. So
no. I'll tell you what. I'll send you a link in the chat now. I'll probably do that now. Hang on, here we go. And then you can just click it and see if it's the kind of thing that you're there. So if you click on that, that should give you the exact map I'm looking at.
Let's have a look. But it's Wolfstone's Height, is it?
Yes. So if you're looking at the trick, if you're looking at a map normally oriented the bottom left-hand corner, and all that rough area in the picture, that rectangular area, that's all public accessible.
We can get that sorted as well and include the trig point as well.
Yeah, that's one.
It's a historical landmark, so that's also within the spirit of POTA. So that can be sorted.
So you just
that's not a problem.
You do the research and you put it on yourself.
I can sort that. Yeah, I'll have a look at that. I'm just making a note. I'll just make a note of it now.
There you go, Roger. There's one for you and Ian to go and activate.
Yeah, well, it's one of my favourite places to go. It's I walk up there. I can walk up there from my house, and it's a nice place. Lots of people go to that trig point and sit and take the view in. And I have portable.
It probably will get. It probably will be listed under Wolfstone Heights historic site.
Yeah,
and that's perfectly fine because we're all in favour of that for POTA. It looks it looks bob on, does that? Like I say, always open to suggestions, and I will just keep your eye on the POTA. Are you registered with POTA? Yeah.
No, I'm not actually.
Are you not? So once you get registered with POTA, you will see the map, and the little yellow dot will appear for you exactly where you've told me, and I'll get that sorted for you. Not a problem.
Right, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Roger. Paul, I was going to say, I think we probably need to bring it to a halt now. Otherwise, we'll be here all night long. But look, you've been superb tonight. Great discussion, great contribution from you, and really enjoyable and really helpful.
You're welcome. Not a problem.
Do you want to say any few words in closing before we just call the formal bit of the meeting?
Well, you've sort of done it all for me, really. So I'm quite happy with that. So we've pretty much covered all the points that I've put down. There's only a couple of things really that I need to mention. When you're uploading your logs, just make sure you just double check them before you upload them. Just make sure everything's good with it. Logs can be removed if you find a mistake in the log afterwards. You can request for them to be removed, and then you just resubmit them afterwards. And this is a very, very important one, which some of you might be aware of, and some of you might not be aware of. As Parks on the Air has got busier, and more admin work takes place behind the scenes with the hard-working guys there in the US and Canada. It's advisable that you don't upload any of your logs between the hours of 3 a.m. and 11 a.m. UTC, because that between those times is when all the admin goes on and all the back end of the website, etc., all gets updated, etc. And the system isn't so stable within those times, and you might find that your log might fail within those times. Now, this is just this didn't used to be the case, but as the system's got bigger and more parks are in the system, more and more people are registered with POTA, it's paramount that they do the admin between these hours. So any logs that are uploaded between those hours might fail. So just bear that in mind, guys. So 3 a.m. and 11 a.m. UTC. Try not to upload any logs within those hours.
Okay, good tip. Thank you very much, Paul. I didn't know that one.
Yeah, that I didn't until a couple of months ago. A lot of people coming to me saying that the logs were failing, unknown errors, etc. And no, my log's fine. I've double checked it, etc. And that was the answer that I got from the POTA guys, just saying because it's just grown so much. They need a bigger window now to do the admin, and they do a fantastic job as well. So everyone's a volunteer as well. You can donate. I think there is a link on the actual Parks on the Air website where you can make a donation to these guys, because these guys do an absolutely fantastic job in looking after us all. And the communication, if there's a problem with links, etc., uploads of your logs, etc., they're very, very quick to come back to you if you just raise a ticket with them. I don't think there's anything else. Oh, what I will mention is awards and special events. As you continue with parks on the air, you'll see your rewards begin to rack up from kilos, etc. And also we have parks POTA weekends. These happen 4 times a year. So support your parks weekend. And I believe the next one is next weekend, which will be New Mounts. Sorry, I'm waffling a little bit here. Just want to get these points across, though. 17th and 18th of January, where you can earn an extra reward just for hunting or activating. So that's one for you to look out for. And through the year, they do one summer, autumn, and winter as well. And yeah, I think we've more or less covered everything there, Nick. Hopefully.
Brilliant, thank you, Paul.
Oh,
Ian just commented, by the way, 2E0 ISD was asking earlier, where would be good for him locally, and he's obviously already operated from Wolfstone's height on 2 meters. He said there's a great 2 meter takeoff point.
Yeah.
So that's will be a good place to go. And in fact, for Roger and Ian in particular, if it's very good on 2 meters, we've got the next 145 live event at the beginning of February. I can't remember, is it February the 5th or the 6th? Go and operate from there then as well.
Yeah, perfect. And incorporate it into a POTA activation.
And incorporate that into a POTA activation as well. Yeah, why
perfect.
not?
Yeah.
The more activity there is on radio, the better.
Brilliant.
In all our books. Those of us that love radio, the more activity, the better. Ken's just asked before you finish, do you carry your license with you, Paul, when you go out and about?
I don't, but maybe I should.
Yeah.
I've never been asked for it, but there might be a time when I might be.
I do, but
that's a very good point, to be fair.
Ken operates in Spain. I've operated in France and Germany and Austria, and some other countries, and I always take my license with me because you're quite likely particularly outside the UK,
you're going to be asked
to attract some local police interest at some stage, and so having the license is important. And just to mention, for those, I'll put it into a club newsletter, but we are affiliated to the European Radio Amateurs Organisation. Nothing to do with the EU, by the way, but it's called the EURAO.
Yeah.
And you can, if you spend €10, if you're ever operating abroad, those of you that have operated from outside of the UK, you can get a multilingual document that identifies you as a licensed radio amateur that you can show to people, and it also covers you for third-party insurance claims as well. And because the club's affiliated, as individual members, you can also join EURAO for free, other than paying €10. I think it is currently to register with it.
Okay, I can see a couple of questions popping up at the bottom.
Yeah.
But they're flicking up and then they're disappearing again.
Well, there's a couple down the bottom from Ken. Is the World Radio League part of POTA? And are there any ban restrictions on POTA?
World Radio League, I've had a look at it, and it does incorporate POTA, but it's not part of Parks on the Air. Even though a bit like M7CUW Polo, it's got all the quirks, etc. But they're not affiliated as such with each other, if that makes sense. It's not. It's just to me. I've not really looked into I need to do World Radio League. I've got the app on my phone, etc. And it looks like a very nice piece of software, very similar to M7CUW Polo, and it does incorporate the Parks on the Air details into there. But it's not the same organisation, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Are there any band restrictions, Paul?
No band restrictions. You can operate on all amateur bands, HF, VHF, UHF. I think you can operate. I don't think there's no band restrictions at all. The only thing that you can't do is 1 second. Let me just close this page up. The only thing you can't do as an activator, I touched on this before, you can't activate via repeaters.
Okay.
Or remotely, because your equipment's not technically in the park, and repeaters are not allowed either. You can hunt that way, but you can't activate that way, unfortunately.
I know I'm detaining you a bit. Do you notice a difference in noise level when you're out in the wilds?
I do. I don't have any noise hardly, especially in the remote ones. That's a big plus. Obviously, some parks are quite urban, so occasionally in parks that are quite urban, you will still get a bit of noise. Nothing like what you get at the home QTH. That's why I like to go up on top of them more, or places like that. I like the remote ones. I like going trekking with my backpack, no noise, up in the hills, and yeah, that's where the best activations happen. There's nothing better than having no noise floor at all. You can hear those weak stations, and yeah, it's brilliant.
Yep, very good. There's only one thing I was going to mention, but I didn't say anything for a long time until near the end, and that is if I was going to go out doing POTA,
yeah,
I would go and look at the VOA cap propagation predictions, because you can put on there each band and roughly which part of the globe you may work.
Yeah,
and that would be a good idea.
It's always an idea to check propagation before you go out. There has been time, best laid plans. You know, I'll book a train or something like that. I know that Carl does it a lot too. I don't know if any of you have worked him. He was 2EO HPI. He's now M8 HPI. And he's a bit like me. He likes to get out and about on the trains, etc. And best laid plans, not only the W X-ray. You look at the propagation a couple of days before, it all looks good. You get on your train, you look at your propagation map, etc. And BioX, you've had a solar flare and the conditions have deteriorated, etc. And there's not a lot you can do then. But there has been times where conditions have been really, really poor, and some people have not made any contacts, and I've made over 100.
The other issue to watch out for, Paul, isn't it? Is, you know, try not to, if you want to go out and operate POTA on single sideband or CW, try not to do it the same weekend as the CUWW SSB contest or whatever, because you'll suddenly find you're running this portable station, and you're running 5 watts, 10 watts, 20 watts, and the place is dominated by 1 kilowatt and huge antenna farms.
Yeah, tell me about it.
It's hard work, isn't it? It's hard work.
It's hard work, because you get stations that just come onto your frequency and just assuming that you're in the contest, and it's like, no, I'm not in the contest. It's just like they're just after everybody. You know, I can call them CQ POTA. And well, you'll know yourself, Nick, and everyone else that's probably listening. It's just a free for all, and it's you know, you've got the walk bands, I suppose, 17 meters and 12 meters, but yeah, it's very, 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 very tricky on busy weekends like that. Contests. I'm not a contester myself. I've nothing against contesters or people that contest. It's just not my thing.
Jeff Owen 8NC asked about POTA operating through satellites. I guess it's the same answer as to repeaters, isn't it?
Yeah,
the satellite is effectively a repeater. So
pretty much, yeah. I think there is a section I read somewhere in an article that it's basically the same as using the repeater, really. So not really within the spirit of POTA.
One of the people on the quick chat also asked the question: don't you need to be a full license holder to operate abroad? And Nick, KC2VWR, replied in most cases, but there are some countries.
There's some, yeah, there are some
foundation and intermediate licenses. So
yeah, Australia is one.
Yep.
Well, that's the only one I know of. I know there are others, but yeah, there are some countries that will let foundation and intermediate operate abroad, but the only one that I really know of at the moment is Australia. I don't know if you know any different there, Nick.
There are some others around the world, but I think it's a bit of a movable feast, because I think a bit similar to our licensing conditions in the UK changing. So we've got far fewer restrictions, and even at foundation license level, the ability to operate higher power and so on, and band availability that maybe people in other countries still don't have, including in the US. But I think there is beginning to be movements across the world that's going to make it slightly freer, and I think there are going to be more opportunities for foundation and intermediate license holders to use their licenses in countries. So it's worth just doing a bit of research before you go away to see if it's a possibility.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I'd love to do it myself. Like I say, I want to progress eventually. Yeah. It's just the time at the moment. Such a busy man. And you know, I'm quite happy with me 25 watts, etc., and what I'm using here in the UK. But to operate abroad would be absolutely fantastic. Yeah, like I say, we'll have to see what transpires, and hopefully it'll open up a bit more. And you know, after all, new, you know, I have this conversation all the time. New radio operators, foundation license holders, etc., up to intermediate. Going to be the future of radio. If nobody's going to be interested at doing their exams or whatever else, and you know, taking the ticket, there isn't going to be any. Once everyone goes, there's been nobody on the radio, so it's got to be encouraged.
Yeah, definitely. Well, look, Paul, can I thank you very much indeed for coming along and giving me that talk tonight. Can we show appreciation to Paul in our normal way, everyone? Brilliant. Thank you very much, Paul.
No, you're very welcome. It's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure talking to you all this evening, and I hope that I can catch you all on the air very soon as well. And I just hope it's been, you know, I hope it's been a benefit to you. And yeah, let's get everybody out operating portable and enjoy parks on the air and summits on the air and bunkers on the air, maybe.
Can I just say, particularly to some of the new people in the meeting tonight, Pennine Ham does have its own WhatsApp group. You'd have to ask us if you want to join it. So if anyone wants to join, what we're trying to use it for primarily, but we do have discussions about, you know, particularly antennas, portable antennas, but for activations that people are making in the UK or elsewhere in the world, we're posting those internally on our WhatsApp group. So if anyone wants to just join our WhatsApp group, just join up with your mobile phone. If you send me an email, I can send you the link so that you can join. You're more than welcome to join and make use of it if you think that would be helpful, and if you want to work other members of the club that we've got here. And as you can see, for those of you new to our meeting tonight, although Pennine Ham from the name, we started up in the southern Pennines of England with a group of us up here that set the club up, but we already had friends and people we knew in other parts of England, in other parts of the UK, and in other parts of the world. So we've got people in the room here tonight from other countries who are members of Pennine Ham, like Mike and Adriana in Germany and Jeff in Belgium and so on. So if you want to join the WhatsApp group, you're more than welcome. Yeah, John?
Whiskey is good for that cold, Paul.
And you know what? I think I could do with a double whiskey right now. I'll definitely be having a top before I go to bed anyway. I like a nice whiskey. Cheers, John.
Right, on that, I'm going to just say good night to our viewers who are live on YouTube, although we've lost most of the viewers that were watching us earlier. So we're going to halt the YouTube, and I'm also going to hit the record button just by finishing by saying that was a great meeting, great chat, lovely contribution, Paul. and I'm sure lots of people here have jotted down your call sign. They're going to be looking out when you do get on your activation. When you feel better, and B, when this pesky snow and -7 degrees that we've been suffering here in the UK disappears, and even worse up in Scotland. We'll look forward to working each other. So thank you for those of you that have been watching us on the who are going to be watching this actually on our YouTube channel later in this week, next week, whenever it is they catch up with it. Thank you for joining us tonight.